my goodness gracious me. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses on a smoking good day, aka the day we have a pope. We have officially entered an alternate lifestyle. We've officially entered an alternate universe. I cannot even begin to tell you how surreal this all is to me. Now, for starters, I am up north in a different country, namely Canada. So, first of all, I'm in Canada. Second of all, we have an American Pope. We have an American Pope, and he's Pope Leo XIV. It's just crazy. Now, understand that I have had basically no sleep. Frankly, I blame Pope Francis for this. I mean, God bless him. Let's pray for him. But man, ever since he passed, it's like I haven't slept. And then once the conclave got going, I didn't sleep. And then, oh my gosh, I had to get ready to go up to Canada, get ready for this cruise. And then the conclave happened. And then we got a new pope. So if I sound a little weird, it's because I'm jet lagged and I can't believe we have an American Pope. Everyone here, please, although you will be coming in on the replay as well, let me know what you think of our new Holy Father, an American, a White Sox fan. I mean, who knew? Who knew? Well, let me tell you about this smoking good day that I had, and it really was a smoking good day. Me staring at the chimney for the black smoke at like, was it 3:30, 4:30 in the morning? And then I had to get on an airplane. So I'm flying up here. Now, my Wi-Fi wasn't working on the first flight. And I'm like, oh my gosh. If there's like white smoke on the second flight and I don't have television, I'm going to lose it. I'm like going to completely lose it. Well, what happened was I was able to watch TV going up. So I'm just staring at this chimney. And then I get to Salt Lake City and I'm staring at my phone. I'm like, please, dear God, let me be able to see the smoke. I was like, please let there be a television, let there be something. I'm getting ready to start bursting into tears like a lunatic. And then I'm thinking to myself, wait, I'm in Salt Lake City. Do they sell Diet Coke? Do they sell Coke here? Yes, they do. And they even had a Starbucks. And I almost bought one, but I was going a little crazy, so I decided not to. So I'm sitting there staring at this chimney on my phone. And then finally I said, okay, you know what? I need to pick up a few things. I always like to pick up like a pen or something. So I'm minding my own business. Get the pen. My dad texts me, we have a pope. I'm like, what? And I go, white smoke. I blinked and I missed it. But that's okay. That's all right. So in any case, I'm like, oh my gosh. And so now I'm thinking, we're going to be up in the air and I'm not going to be able to see this Holy Father. I'm not going to be able to see this announcement. Well, what ended up happening was we got on the airplane. We started a taxi and they still hadn't made the announcement of who the Pope was. And I am like in tears. And the stewardess, as she was passing me by, I'd be getting ready to get into her jump seat. I'm like, listen. And I'm like, I am. My voice is breaking and everything. I'm like, I really want to know who the Pope is. And I don't know if the Wi-Fi is going to work. And she's like, oh, well, the Wi-Fi will work. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. Habemus Papam. Lady Gravemaster, you want to pop on? Let me know. And then I looked out the window and there were like 4 airplanes in front of us. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Thank God. And I'm like, God, please, please, please let us be last. Let it be slow. And all of a sudden, the pilot goes, I am so sorry, but we have been delayed by 40, maybe 50 minutes because of traffic up in Vancouver or something. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And, you know, all the people up in front around me, we were all paying attention. I'm like, sorry about that. I actually prayed for that. And they were all, well, you know, that's cool. That's cool. We can be friends. And so everyone's gathering on my phone because we didn't have a TV. And the other chick didn't have her phone. And then finally, they make the announcement. And we look at each other. And I'm like, who? I did not understand it. Okay, good. Okay, let me take care of this, Lady Gravemaster. I should maybe put this in the group, but I can't think too hard right now. I have no brain cells. Maybe I will in a second after we get going. So we're like, who? Who's this? Who is this Pope? And then, of course, I'm about ready to just bawl my eyes out. And then I hear the EWTN person go, it's an American. I'm like, I turned, it's an American. And they were like, American? It's like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, he's an American. Still don't know who he is. I'm terrible. And then, oops, can I get it down here? I can. Why isn't it going? Okay, Lady Gravemaster. Yeah, you can thank Stieg for the title of this. He made a joke about it, and I'm like, oh, that's actually a good thing to do. All right, so edit, paste. There you go, Lady G. I'm getting my earphones ready, and then we realize, okay, we've got this American Pope. It's like, oh my gosh. I had some doubts. I had some feelings. But then as the day went on and I saw him and everything, it was really like a spiritual thing. I started getting really good vibes about this and what I'm getting from this man. And speaking of which, we have Lady Gravemaster, another Catholic here for Catholic Explaining. Hello, Lady Gravemaster.
Oh. Hi.
Well, I just went rambling through my thing because I'm jet lagged and I'm crying, fat, crazy.
Where were you? How long was your flight?
Well, it was 3.5 hours.
Oh Lord! Oh, so like you literally found out who the Pope was, and then like were cut off from communication, huh?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it turns out when we did get up in the air, I was able to get Wi-Fi. See, sometimes Wi-Fi works and sometimes it doesn't, but usually on the smallest ones it doesn't. So then I was able to. But I was crying because I thought I wasn't going to do it. I swear I was praying to Jesus, all right, and begging Mother Mary. It's like, let's get delayed, and we did, and that's why I apologize. But wow. Yes, hello everyone coming in. We have the Sentinel. We have John 5. And a lot of people, May 8th equals new Pope. I did not hear his name, Mr. Provokes. I didn't 2 weeks ago. Also, Feast of St. Michael the Archangel. Oops, got that wrong. It's okay. I thought it was going to be the Italian Pope. Yeah.
I was shocked when they were like, he's an American, and I was like,
yeah.
What? I thought we were easily still another century away from an American Pope. Honest to goodness. I really, truly thought we were at least 100 years away from an American Pope.
Yeah.
And there's so like my Catholic family, like, so it's really funny because like my Catholic family and my Catholic friends are all like, oh, Habemus, like Habemus Papam, like everybody's like all excited, and then my non-Catholic friends and relatives are texting me, and they're like, what does this mean? Who is this Pope? What does he do? Like, do you like him? And I was like, I have never heard of him. Like, and I know that that's wild, but there are hundreds of cardinals. There were 133 in the conclave. And so what that means is all 133 of those men were able to vote and able to become Pope. So they were able to become Pope and they were able to vote. Because the voting age, if you're 80, you're not allowed to vote. And I'm not gonna lie, I had a cardinal that I was rooting for.
Oh yeah.
It was not this one. As I said, I've never heard of him. And I was trying to look him up, research a little bit, kind of see what I could find out, and it's very conflicting information. Like the insane thing is, as everybody knows, Wikipedia, anybody can edit and add on Wikipedia.
Yes.
And I was like, well, let me just see what the Wikipedia, surely like nobody has gotten onto the Wikipedia page yet to mess with very much. And oh my goodness, I am betting you that at least a dozen people, if not more, had already messed with the Wikipedia page because they were that like it was stuff from he's pro this and pro that, and he's, you know, like he's the the 1,000-year prophecy is going to come true under him, because like this is the first American pope in history, and it'll be like this signifies the end of European Catholicism. And I was like, okay, but didn't we just have a South American pope like not too long ago? I'm sitting here trying to think, and this pope spent a lot of time in Peru, even though he's from Chicago. But like, my phone was blowing up all day with people asking me questions, and I'm trying to answer 5th grader questions at the school. They're like, well, like, why was he picked? I'm like, I don't know, sweeties. Like, I'm hoping that is where the Holy Spirit guided them. Like, at this point, you've got to have faith.
Yeah.
But it is insane. Hello, Ancient One. The amount of the amount of people who are attempting to make this political. So I will say what I told my 5th graders today. Worldly politics do not belong in an otherworldly selection to fill the chair of St. Peter, the steward of God's church. Like, it doesn't have a place there. So when you go to Twitter or any of these other social, Facebook, Twitter, any of these text-heavy social media sites, because Instagram is going to Instagram, right? But if you go to any of these text-heavy ones, it's, I mean, people who are are they not Catholic, but they are like anti-Catholic. Like, they hate Catholicism. And they're over here just, oh my gosh, this pope is going to be the end of Christianity. Maybe this will finally bring down the Catholic Church. He's so woke. He's so progressive. And I'm like, bro, he's been pope less than an hour. Like, what are you talking about? He hasn't done anything as pope. And even in his years as cardinal, he's like, from what I have been told by people who actually knew him, because he did spend time in the States, and I actually happened to work with someone who like knows him. And what I was told was he has a very moderate temper, but he is actually like, he has very traditional roots. So he's very, I don't want to say like mild mannered, but that was the impression. Like, he's very, who said tact is telling your enemy to go to hell and ensuring that they'll enjoy the trip? Who said that? Was that Churchill?
Probably, but it's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was Churchill.
Diplomacy.
And that was essentially what they said he was like as a bishop. And I was like, okay, well, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm glad his first language is English.
Yes.
Because I am hoping that, like, going back and looking, and we're not going to speak ill of the dead, especially of, a pope, but going back and looking, it's shocking how many corrections or retractions like the media had to make. Do you remember when we're like, oh, Pope Francis is changing the Our Father? And I was like, what is this? And then you go and you look, and what is actually happening is he isn't changing the Our Father. He is correcting a translation error in Italian. So in the Italian translation, I think it was saying, lead us from temptation instead of lead us not into temptation. And everybody's like, well, that's not that big of a deal. Why would that matter?
It matters.
The Catholic Church and the Orthodoxy are literally split right now because of a translation over Petros, over the rock.
Filioque. The filioque in the creed. Yes.
Literally 2 words schismed orthodoxy from Catholicism. So yes, it does matter. And so he was correcting a translation error, and the media ran with, he's changing the Our Father. He's changing the Lord's Prayer. I remember the uproar. Oh my gosh. Like, people were, they were furious. And then when you start to dig and you actually like get into the meat of it, and you're like, hold on, he is not changing anything. He is correcting a translation error. That is not the same thing as changing the Our Father. Now, for the Italians, I'm sure that really sucked, because, you get used to saying it one way your whole life. And then it's like, hey, by the way, you've been saying it wrong and you have to say it this way now. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, like Pope Benedict did that with the English translation of the New Mass, because
Yes,
it was a horrible translation that they
it was
did, and
awful.
it was accurate. Now, to be fair, I don't know too much about this particular case with Pope Francis, but I do know occasionally, not always, it literally was the translators did some shenanigans, and this is why I've kept saying this is why we have to have a pope like the Pope Leo, for example, who knows the major languages, especially
Yes.
English, because that way they can't do that. They can't mess around with it. And Francis was very naive, sadly, and he didn't realize, you need to be wise as a serpent, as innocent as a dove. The fact that he is fluent in what the 5 languages, and he reads many of them, like
Yes.
German, he reads German, and of course Latin. So that's very,
His
very important.
Italian, oh my gosh, today, his
It's
Italian,
amazing.
he sounded like a native Italian speaker. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
we might be okay. We might be okay, because quite frankly, one of the largest enemies of the church right now is the media, because
Yep.
they want to spin this, like, I'm sure you've seen it, but there are people who are, it looks like the American House or the American Senate seats that are like moderately conservative, staunchly conservative, moderately liberal, centrist, and like staunchly liberal. And I'm over here and I'm like, that's not how any of this works. Like, they're like, yes, they may have their own personal biases. Yes, they may have the way that they are like fulfilling their duty as cardinal differently, and it may appear to align with these types of political, I even hate to say that, but like these political agendas or political beliefs. But the crazy thing is, if you go back and you actually listen to his speech on the balcony, because people are just like, oh my gosh, he said, like, we're going to welcome everyone to the Catholic Church. And I'm like, yes,
Hello?
the Catholic Church is universal. That doesn't mean he did not say, oh yes, the Catholic Church is going to change for you so that you like it more, so that you'll come to it. No, he's saying, please come home, come back to Rome, come back to St. Peter's, like, come here. This is where, like, you
Yeah.
are loved. This is your home. This is your
Yeah.
spiritual home on earth. That's what he means. But oh my gosh, like, I think it was, I want to say it was CNBC, or it may have been MSNBC. There's so many there's so many legacy news sites anymore. I don't even know. But if you listen to them talk, they were like, "Oh, well, this, like, is this Pope Leo's how did they phrase it? It was something along the lines of, is this Pope Leo like ushering in a more modern era for the church?" And I'm like, no, he's trying to tell everybody to come home to Rome. Like, the media is so desperate to shove this agenda down everyone's throats. Like, God be with Pope Leo, because
Yes.
holy
Pray
cow,
for him. I've
he,
been praying for him like crazy. I felt it almost immediately. I had a really weird spiritual experience, and a lot of other people have said the exact same thing. They were saying this on Catholic Answers, where at first they were like, I don't know about this. And then all of a sudden, just like this peace
yeah,
and hope and optimism. It was like a very wild thing. And what you said about coming home, because, when I came home, if you will, to the Catholic Church after when I converted, and I was like, I was home. and it was so beautiful. And when I told my dad, we were all crying that I was joining the church. I said, Dad, I'm sorry, but I just want to go home. I just want to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, it was so beautiful. He said, my whole life, all I've wanted is one thing, is for you to love Jesus. And if that's what it is, that's what it is. And I was very lucky that I had that. But yeah, it's home, home in Rome. And speaking of which, Sentinel said something very beautiful. And I love all your comments here. Let's see, this broadcast is an alternative view from the media and YouTube. This is John 5. Thank you. Well, thank you. And Sentinel says, the media actually kept me from embracing the church for a long time. When I finally accepted Christ into my life, it was just the Gospels at first. But then what about other certain situations in life? Yeah, that's true. And that's why the church, we need a magisterium. We need the church to help guide us into these things. That's why Jesus, in his wisdom, gave us a visible church and apostolic succession for this very reason. He gave the keys to St. Peter.
Yep. What you shall loose here on earth shall be loosed in heaven, and what you bind here on earth shall be bound in heaven. Like, the people like to brush over stuff like that, and I don't know if it's because they don't know what that means, if they don't understand the power that Jesus just gave to the apostles and to Peter, to Peter, to the apostles, and to their successors, right? And there's a reason that there's ceremony, tradition. Oh, do you know what I just found out?
Oh, what did you find out?
Okay, so and I dug, and I still have to do so. I'm going to preface this. Hi, Steve. I'm going to preface this with the fact that I am still researching this. Understand that I've never really used Protestant Bibles. I've always only had Catholic ones. So I was unaware of this, but in Protestant Bibles, in some of them, not all, obviously I've not read every Protestant Bible, but I had one of my coworkers who is a convert. She converted from Lutheran. She brought me her old Bible, and she was like, hey, like, da 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 da. And I was like, okay, well, I'll show you my Bible that I've had since I was confirmed. And she was like, okay. And so, like, I brought my Bible, and we're looking. So when Peter, like, somebody intentionally mistranslated the Protestant Bible, this particular Protestant Bible. Instead of tradition, it says teachings.
Oh, yes. Yes, I've heard that a lot.
I was
very convenient.
Blown the frick away. I was like, why does this say teachings?
I think that's 1 Thessalonians 2:15 that's you're probably referring to.
Yep, that's the one. And I was like, why does this say teachings? And she was like, isn't that what it is? And I was like, no. And she even, like, the thing is, so it was a King James Version Bible, okay? And I don't know all King James versions. I've not read every King James version, but I do know that it is, like, the second or first most popular Bible choice in America. I was like, well, this explains a lot, because if this word is wrong, because this is not this, do you know how many editors that has to go by? Do you know how many people had to put eyes on that? Like, that was not an accident. It wasn't an accident.
Yeah.
And,
well, just like Luther with Allein durch den Glauben, rather, he added the word allein, alone, faith alone, when he translated Romans.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. So
that's why the church condemned these translations. It wasn't because they were afraid of translations. That annoys me so much. It's like because they were flawed.
Yes.
And the church, the church leaves in things that maybe even people have used against her.
Yes.
But they know that they
have
can't
to be
change it. You can't change the word of God.
No. And so for anybody, like, this is the thing that kills me so much in my soul, is like, all of these Protestants don't realize that. So yes, Orthodoxy and Catholicism schismed. Orthodoxy follows, and I'm talking about Greek Orthodoxy, not Orthodox
the capital
Jews.
O.
Like, not don't get confused. But so the Orthodoxy follows Andrew, the Apostle Andrew. Catholicisms follow Peter. They're brothers. So it's like they really are Orthodoxy and Catholics. It is literally 2 words that made us split. 2 words. And so it makes sense if Luther is over here adding and subtracting from the Bible, which, listen, the Catholic Church to this day has never officially stated that such so and so is in hell. The Catholic Church as an entity. Now that's not to say that like there hasn't been someone hasn't had like a revelation or a vision of hell where they're like, no, I saw these souls in hell. Like, we know souls go to hell, but it is not the church's purpose, designation, or duty to condemn souls to hell. We have what's the word? Venerated. There's the word. We have venerated souls, saints specifically, like capital S, not little s, to heaven. And we know that martyrs go straight to heaven. But when Luther, so a couple things Luther did, and I can even talk to you about Galileo and why, like, common sense will dictate that the church didn't, like, the Pope did not hate Galileo, and I can explain it to you
Quite
the same
the
way I explain it
opposite.
to my 5th graders. But Luther, the 2 big things he did, one was changing the word of Jesus. So that's a big no-no. And the second one is he did today, like, if social media had existed, Luther would have been on Twitter and been like, as a devout Catholic, I demand these changes, these reformations. And it's not to say that things didn't need to change in the church. That's not what I'm saying. There was definitely corruption. Okay? Like, we are human. The church herself, she's perfect, but the men who are in it, they're human. They are still human. And
There are
that,
weeds in the wheat.
yes, and that seems to be the biggest hang up for a lot of other people. They're like, well, so I'm going to put a pin in that and we'll come back to it, so don't tangent down that road. But Luther literally got the court of public opinion on his side. He could have, there were ways he could have gone about seeking these changes, these like some of the legitimate changes. Some of it, like, if you've ever read his 95 Theses, some of them are just absolutely wackadoodle. Okay.
Yeah, and
But
some of them the church even agreed with. That's the other thing.
yes,
He just got really pissed when they didn't accept all of them.
all of them, because he thought that he was more correct than.
He was, yeah, there was pride involved.
So it's just,
Yeah.
it's wild. And so people are like, Luther, like, he broke us away, he freed us from the corrupt church, he threw the baby out with the bathwater, suffered from mental illnesses that are treatable today. Yep.
That's true.
But
he definitely
anxious,
had depression.
Yes, he did. Anxious, easily agitated, and impulsive. Yes, he was. Self-control was not something that Luther had, hence why he nailed 95 Theses on the door.
Yeah, I want to just pause here because sometimes when I've given speeches before and stuff, I just want to let people know that just because we might criticize perhaps the way the founding of the Reformation happened, we are not necessarily saying this about Protestants. For example, I was a Protestant, and frankly, most of what I know about the Bible, I learned from when I was a Protestant because they do a darn good job of teaching the Bible. So we're not trying to bash Protestants here. I see sometimes people do that on X and it makes me very mad. It's like, no, that's not what we're doing. We're talking about the founders, one specific person.
One specific person. Trust me, if I'm bashing you, you'll know.
Steve says Jerry said gravy nerding out over lore. Yeah, Catholic lore.
Boy,
Yes.
It's the truth though. Like, I mean,
it's the true myth, like Tolkien calls it.
Amen. But it is insane to me. Oh, Sentinel, I actually have a comic book over how he's Catholic.
Interesting. Well, Methodists are second cousins to Catholics. My background is Methodist and Anglican, and then Catholic. So it was just a very simple. I just had to take one small little.
It was
leap.
just a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yep.
It was just Matt Wilkins.
No, we love you, Matt.
Yeah.
I was defending you. Hey, I used to be one of you.
No, down with all Protestants. Wait, what?
No. Shut up. Pardon me. Hey, I'm jet lagged. I'm jet lagged from the future.
But yes, I'll have to get it. I have it at I have it in my classroom. But it's good stuff.
Yeah. This is a very
Because
long way of saying if that a lot of stuff you're going to see on X, it's not going to be necessarily accurate, and it's not necessarily be coming
no,
from a place of goodwill. And there is a lot of misunderstanding. That's why I love things like Catholic Answers, because they do a very good
I
job of
love
just
Catholic
they'll
answers.
they'll give you a Catholic answer, and sometimes they'll even have like Protestant days, like where you can call in, and most people were and. But once you understand when you read it, when you said like, do we not read it? Because you see, I had a great translation of the Bible. There was nothing wrong with it. But I
Mm,
will look every time I look at it though, there won't be notes on that. And John 6 is another one where there is just you just kind of skip over. But once I actually read it, or you tend to like
mhm.
focus on certain things, I was like, oh my gosh. But that's all another story. Oh gosh, Stegan is having mackerel and tomato for breakfast. Yes, on to know
Yummy.
that's exactly. I let the Protestant created AA, which is basically the root of all recovery currently. Yeah, we love AA here at Miss Martin Muses. Though there is also a lot of the Ignatian discernment in that
Yes.
as well. He was very ecumenical. No, and that's the thing is that, and we need each other and we love
Hmm.
each other. But that's what great Miss Lady Gravemaster was saying is that Pope Leo was inviting everyone. He wasn't trying to say, "Oh, just everyone come in the sense of like universalism, like all paths are the
Yeah.
same, etc."
No,
It
it's
was an invitation. Invitation.
yes.
He's our Papa, and we all want to be one. And
Hmm.
also remember when we talk about being one in the Catholic Church, we're not even necessarily talking about our separated brethren from the times of the Reformation. In
Mm-mm.
many cases, we're talking about the Orthodox, and we are so close to the Orthodox. Like as far as the valid
Yes.
sacraments, valid priesthood, valid liturgy, and they recognize Peter as the first among equals. All of that. So it's a little bit bigger than what you might see. And sometimes Catholics are our own worst enemy. I've been seeing a bunch of jackasses saying a bunch of stupid stuff today. I
Uh,
just
yeah.
ignore it. Ignore it.
It's so like a big problem comes in, especially listen, she was on a plane and
I
I'm
was on an
speaking.
airplane.
We literally, it was impossible. I'm sorry, gorillas. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll try.
I see you didn't censor that thought though. Um,
Uh-huh.
but it's no, there's just a big problem comes in the 90s. So I'm gonna say the late 80s to probably just until maybe a few years ago, really, until about gosh, maybe 6 years ago, 7 years, 2018, 2019. Right before the coof. Uh
Mhm.
Catechesis in especially the American Catholic Church.
Sucks.
Um it was terrible. So it it was basically you would go to mass on Sundays and then you'd have CCD Wednesday nights is what it was called, CCD.
Yep. I taught
And
CCD.
yeah. Um I did not teach CCD.
Mm.
I went through it. Um but it it was atrocious for many reasons because the generation right before that, a lot of Gen Xers, um they didn't go to church. They
Mhm.
didn't like they didn't they weren't interested in learning about the tradition. Excuse me. They weren't interested about learning the tradition. They weren't interested in learning about um the faith. They weren't interested in being catechized properly. Um and so
Boomers. Boomers, they did
yeah,
us dirty.
boomers were bad about it because they assumed, so they made one of the greatest um errors that any parent can make. They assumed that because they knew it, their kids would just know it. They never talked about it. They never
They didn't live it
they
either.
didn't live it. They
They were
didn't
the ones that abandoned it. by the way.
Yes, they ditched it. And so Gen X followed suit. And so by the time you get to millennials, you have 2 generations of separation from uh from truly catechized individuals. The greatest generation, the silent generation, and the greatest generation were very, very devout. Um, and in some like Catholic strongholds were like especially like Chicago and Boston, it held out a little longer, but eventually it also succumbed to modernism, unfortunately. And so you just have all of these sheep with no home, and they're like, yeah, I'm Catholic, but I don't practice. Like I would be, I'm sure Teresa would agree. Or I'm sure Miss Martin would agree, like, gosh, the amount of, if I had a dollar, not even, if I had 50 cents for every time someone told me, yeah, I was baptized and I got my communion and confirmation, but I don't go to church anymore. Like I don't practice Catholicism anymore. Like I would probably be a millionaire because they're like, well, I just did it because my parents told me I had to do it, but like I never really saw the point. And I'm
Yeah,
just
no, no,
like,
I get it, and well, and a lot of it has to do with, if you're not properly formed, but also, you,
yes,
you know, it faith in Christ is, talk about an invitation. It's a mystery as well, and that's why
yes,
you need to feed your children. You need to teach
mm-hmm.
them. You need to pray with them. You see, I think that's part of it too.
Oh yeah,
Is were
that's a
these
big
people
thing.
praying with their kids?
Nope.
Because if you're not doing that, I mean, the graces that family has, we call it the domestic church,
Yep.
that they give and they get. And also, I mean, kids aren't stupid. If they don't really see their parents practicing it, well, then why should they? Why should they waste
Yep.
their time? Why do I have to get up and go to church if my folks or my dad or my mom doesn't go? It makes sense. And there were also people with nefarious agendas also that
Yes.
infected not just the Catholic Church, not just even the priesthood, but schools, catechesis, everything. And
Yep.
then
And that,
God said he was sick of working with you, and he went to the Protestants. He brought people like me. He brought Scott Hahn. He brought, well, Patrick Madrid is there, but a lot of reverts like what's his name? Well, there's Jimmy Aiken, and then
oh
uh,
yes.
all these Protestants and these Protestant preachers that took those skills. I always say that he was sick of trying to work with the Catholics. He's like, they're not listening to me. I'm going to listen to people who have the or listening to the Holy Spirit. And it was huge. It was this huge movement that happened in the 90s, and we're seeing the fruits of it right now.
Well, unfortunately, um Protestantism has also like I I even struggle to call them Protestants. The what is it called now? Prosperity gospel preachers.
Oh, health and wealth. Well, see, and that's the other thing, is that there's so many different beliefs and
Yeah,
layers within
well,
Protestantism. Because, of
there's
course, I
over
never believed in health and wealth.
there's over 45,000 different denominations in Protestantism. That is so many. That
Yeah,
is
so
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 many.
you can't paint them with one brush.
But
And
like,
there's a difference between like grifters, like Steve's talking about, and people that they're living their faith.
well, I will say the Protestants have no problem taking shots at Catholics. So I would definitely be a millionaire for how many times I've been called an idolater.
Oh, I
Uh,
know.
it makes me
I know.
chuckle.
I
But
cannot even tell you what it was like. It was like night and day before I got into the church and when I joined it, and I just realized how much condescension was put my way. So I get it. I get it. I know it comes from the other way. I'm just trying to be the bigger person here
oh no no no
because
no no!
yeah.
That's totally fine. I laugh at it. Like I have dealt with it so much that it just makes me chuckle because none of the questions are new, none of the insults are new, and everybody thinks they're so clever. Like everybody that comes up with them for it's just it 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 now it now makes me chuckle, not in a derisive way, but just in a like, my goodness, I understand why they say insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. Because hearing those like statements or questions over and over again is enough to make is enough to make somebody go crazy. You know what I mean? So now I just laugh because if you don't, you cry. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can only be punched in the face so many times where you kind of let it roll off your back. Because I mean, for crying out loud, look at what's happening right now. There was even an attack on the Eucharist. Did you see that? That someone blew up
Yeah.
a monstrance. I mean, we're used to being attacked. I mean, look at the Irish for crying out loud, though. Right now, they got issues. But I mean, look at the persecution.
Yeah.
Look what happened in England. You know, we're used to. I mean, look what's happening right now in Africa. I mean, we're having martyrs
Yeah.
left and right.
Being
It's
slaughtered
slaughtered.
en
Yeah,
masse. It's insane. Syria,
yeah.
same thing. Iran, I don't think there's any Christians. I don't think there's a Catholic left alive in Iran.
Barely, or if
Pakistan,
they there, so many of them have to be underground, and I don't know. I don't know too much about it.
I feel you, Sentinel. It's no, Mary
It,
is a touchy subject for a lot of people. So even some Catholics don't even full. Again, this goes back to being catechized correctly. Like, I've had this conversation with several people where it's almost better to try and work with someone who has never been catechized than someone who has been poorly catechized, because you have to unteach all of the bad habits. And it's
yeah. Well,
like, it's hard to explain even to some Catholics that no, we don't worship Mary, but she does have there is a hierarchy, and she falls into the like that second slot because
she's hyperdulia.
yes, she
God is latria, Mary is hyperdulia, the rest of the saints are dulia.
well, Joseph is the third tier. I
Oh yeah,
forget
we
about
love
that.
Joseph. Yeah, he's
Yes,
awesome. He's a foster father, rather the guardian of the church, guardian of the
church.
Redeemer,
Yes.
guardian of the church. But before we go on, I want to say thank you to Salty Traveling Sea. He gave a $1.49 super sticker, and it is a rose. We love roses here. My namesake,
Yay.
Saint Therese of Lisieux, you get a rose, and I will use this. He made this for me, though I don't know if the sound will work, but I will still give it to you. Check this out, especially for Catholic explaining. Boom. Thank you.
Aww.
Thank you. Thank you for the super sticker. Yeah, Steve's saying, yeah, you know, you don't see that on the Norwegian news too. Heck, you don't even really see it in
No,
the American news.
hardly at all. I mean, my gosh, when those 21 people had their throats slit on that beach, the Coptic Christians, what was
Oh,
it, 7 years
oh
ago
yeah.
now, the
Oh my
martyrs.
gosh.
There was not a peep about that. And
Well, I mean, there was in the church, or at least in
well,
Catholic news, but
yes, but where
not
on
the way it should
like
have been.
secular news, nowhere. International news, nowhere. It barely made a blip. Um,
And to be honest, that's where I wish Francis had made thrown a few hissy
yeah.
fits over that. Like if
Yep.
he'd have put that energy into that instead of putting it into suppressing the Latin mass. Go figure. That's why he was so confusing for everybody.
I
Pope
list
Francis.
like when I read his justification for the suppression of the Latin Mass, I was both angry and confused because it does like it genuinely doesn't make sense. Like, why would you say because it is not being properly if I remember correctly, it was
He
something to the
pulled it out
effect.
of his butt.
Yeah, it was something to the effect of it wasn't being properly um performed, or I forget the word that he used, but it wasn't being properly done. So he was
Executed. Well, and
execute.
some
Yes,
jackasses on the internet that people took
yes,
advantage of.
yes. And
Like,
so
oh, look, they're
because
schismatic. So
yeah, so because of that, he said, okay, we're limiting traditional Latin mass. And I was like, so, okay, so you're going to limit it, but you're not going to bring priests in like a cycle so that they can learn, so that you can teach them the proper way to, um, why can't I think of what that's called? It's not serve the mass.
Gosh, that's where it's just not the technicality that I know, but
Yeah,
I know
but,
what you mean. But for
um,
example, this is the issue that we had with him. It's like, and trust me, there are far worse things in life than liking the mass, than liking being
yes,
Catholic.
then
I
falling,
mean, for crying
then
out
falling
loud.
in love. Yes.
It's like, oh my gosh. I mean, my parents were thinking that it was insane. They're like, we would kill for these numbers at our church, and that should be something that you should be fostering. I mean, priests were busting out of the seams, and nuns and sisters and all that vocations coming from it.
Mhm.
And of course, as a musician, there's just nothing better than to finally get to sing the music in the context in which it was supposed to be
Yes.
performed. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's just, it's heart-wrenching.
Yeah. Well,
That like I wonder, I do sometimes wonder how much, again, one of the church's greatest enemies right now is the media, because they want to, they want to say it in such a way that you can't go after them for any type of, whether it's print or spoken, you can't go after them for libel or defamation. So you can't go after them for either one, because they're not technically like lying. Like, they're phrasing it in such a way that legally they're okay, but in every other sense they are wrong. They are like, to sit there when Pope Leo XIV is on the balcony, like, the sense of peace came over me. So I will tell
yes.
you, I really wanted Cardinal Robert Sarah.
Oh
That is
yeah.
that
I
is who
wanted
I
Burke,
was.
but yeah.
Oh, he would have been excellent too. So I was praying and I was fasting for Cardinal Sarah. I was like, this is like, we need a lion in the church. We need someone who is on fire with the Holy Spirit and loves Christ. Um and I was like I really, really, really uh just like I feel like he is who the church needs right now. So he was who I was praying for. And I'm not going to lie, when he said, so obviously the cardinal comes out, the cardinal comes out to announce the new pope. So
Mhm.
the first man you see come out to the balcony is not the new pope. He comes out and he speaks in Latin, and he gives, this will be the last time that he gives the non-papal name of the cardinal, and it'll say, he is now um the pope. And when they said Roberta, I was like everything in my soul lifted up, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then they
Yes.
said Francissa, and I was like, oh,
I
that's
know.
not.
I went a little nuts too, I must admit.
I was I the amount of emotions that I had to, because we were in a school wide assembly at that point. So
Mm,
the amount of
yeah.
emotions that I had to check immediately, um, because obviously, like, these pre-Kers have no idea. They're excited for the new. They're excited for the white smoke. Everybody is cheering. Everybody is shouting. Everybody is
Mhm.
singing in Latin. Everybody's praying. Everybody is so happy. And so I just, like, when I heard the name and it wasn't Robert Sarah, I was like, okay, it's gonna be fine. And then he chose Pope Leo XIII, and I was like, or 14th, pardon me. He chose Pope Leo XIV, and I go, interesting. Okay, let's let's see what, like, let's see where this goes. Kind of like, how does he what is his first appearance going to be, um like, to the world? Like, how is he going to present himself?
Mhm.
And the fact
Yeah.
that he came out in traditional
Yes.
bra, I was so happy.
I was
And
yeah.
I felt a little less unsure, but the moment that, like, I felt peace come over me, I don't know if you were watching it on EWTN or anything
I
like
was.
that, but EWTN came up, like there was a camera on the balcony, and you can clearly see Pope Leo's face, and he's crying.
Yeah.
Like, he's so humble in this moment. He's so overwhelmed, and I was like, okay, we might be okay, because he obviously understands exactly what is happening right now, like what
I
the
mean,
responsibility that has been laid upon him. He is obviously like taking this in a way that isn't prideful, that isn't self-centered, and that is a very humbling experience for him. So,
oh, I would have been bawling. I mean, he was
oh
holding
yeah.
him back. I mean, he was like swallowing and sniffing. I would have just been doing the ugly cry. Well, if I'd have been there, people were doing the ugly
Oh
cry.
yeah.
And see, it's so momentous that he's an American. I mean, I can't even. My brain just keeps exploding when I think, oh my God, we have an American Pope. This is
I
huge. I mean, people just don't get it. This is like, I mean, I have been praying like you wouldn't believe it. I've been crying. I mean, I've almost been in the point of despair. People probably have seen how cranky I've been because I just don't know where we're going. And I'm just like, when this happened,
yes.
it slowly started rolling over me. Holy crud, we're going to be okay. And this is huge.
This
And when
is huge.
President Trump, oh my gosh, I loved, finally, President Trump says,
Yes.
he finally gets it, or someone, he listened to someone. I thought that was a beautiful thing that he said.
I did too.
It's an
I was
honor that the first American Pope. This is unbelievable. I
mhm.
mean, I felt like I entered an alternate universe, and a good
I
alternate universe.
Yes. Yeah, it's almost like the world is trying to heal. I found it very so obviously people are theorizing why would he choose Leo the 14th? Like, that's a very traditional Catholic
Mhm.
name. Leo, like, and it's interesting because immediately all of a sudden all these people who not only are they not Catholic, they're not even Christian. Um
Yeah, they
so
have an issue. They have
yeah,
an
like,
agenda rather.
but oh, for sure. But they're all of a sudden they are experts on the entire apostolic succession of the papacy. I'm like, bro, for real? Like, I doubt that sincerely. And they were like, well, he chose Pope Leo the 14th. Did you know Pope Leo the 13th
Oh,
was
hell
a
yeah.
staunch
Rerum
social
Novarum!
they were
Rerum
like
Novarum!
they
So,
were like
holy crud.
Pope Leo the 13th was a
Yes.
staunch social justice warrior. And I was like, bro, those words didn't exist back then.
Bro. And
What are you
bro,
talking about?
he took the hammer. It is one of the strongest condemnations of communism and socialism you will ever get.
Communism, socialism, hates it
Read
all.
Rerum Novarum. I mean, oh my gosh. And he's the guy who blessed Saint Therese. Remember when she made a
Mm-hmm.
fool of herself because she ran and she talked to him when she wasn't supposed to? He met my Therese. Oh, okay. Steve hasn't I told you so. I hate you, Steve, sometimes. I love you, but I hate you often. He has been telling me over and over again, wait and see. But this isn't what you expected, Steve, but this was the answer to my prayers. It really was. Something was
I
going to happen. Yeah.
I was, yeah, when he chose Leo, I was like, this
Holy
is
crud.
good. I said, this we're off to a good start. He wasn't choosing to be like the first of a name or anything like that.
And
And
he wasn't too precious to wear the Pope clothes.
yes. And he
Sorry, this is the comment of the day. I told my wife we have an American Pope. The tariffs are working.
don't let Trump see that comment. He will take full credit. No, but it's shocking to me. Did you see the feminists who like cracked some pink smoke in front of the Vatican?
Yeah, a bunch of jerks.
I was like,
The fact that the raving feminists hate him, that says something right there. The
mm-hmm.
nutty feminists and the Catholics for free choice that they've condemned him. And he has some strong words about abortion and to transformers. And
Yep.
trust me, it is not favorable to the left. Not at
No,
all.
but I think that's also
No women
why
priests. thank God he's against.
Oh,
Well,
that was the thing that I was that was the thing that I was really concerned about, because the modern push for female deacons, and like they're like, well, we just want to, like, why can't females be deacons? We should be allowed to be deacons, and that's it. Okay, it's first of all, no, and second of all, it's never just deacons. And that was laid bare by all of
yeah.
these feminists screeching about how the Pope should be elected by the people, and why do only men get a say? And I was like, do you not this, you don't understand Catholicism at all. This is
No,
like,
they want to destroy it. That's
this
their
is,
purpose.
yes, they do. It's an, like, this is a centuries old sacred duty. This isn't a popularity contest. This isn't a this isn't a, oh, because he is, the leader of the largest organized religion in the world that is unified, everybody should have a say. Understand, there are 1.5 billion, 1.4, 1.5 billion Catholics in the world. In the world, there are 8 billion people on the planet. Of the 1.5 billion Catholics, 133 of them had a say, quote unquote, had a say in the new pope, on who was going to be the next pope. 133. That is it. That is, there is no, like, the chair of St. Peter is not, like, this is what pisses me off, is because all these women, it's mostly women, but like all of these feminists, they just want power. They fundamentally misunderstand what the Holy See is. They don't care. Like, one or the other. You know
No,
what I mean?
well, you know who wants power? Who could it be?
Who
Who
could it
sees, huh?
be?
Or who tried to buy the powers of the priesthood and saw it as a commodity? That was, of course, Simon. And guess what happened to him? He dropped dead. Like Peter, like had
Mm-hmm.
him drop dead. His wife too. She had it coming. But yeah, well, I'll tell you what. The best thing that ever happened against women, the ones that want women ordination, and it was like a gift from God, was that quote unquote Episcopalian bishop that I have people used to always get so mad at me for being against women priests. I like no women priests. It's not going to happen. I'm like Francis. No, that was his greatest moment, by the way. But
Yes.
it's just like suddenly that happened, and people like, I get it now. It's like, thank you,
So
thank you.
many people left Episcopalian after that insanity. I was like, "Meh, look at that." And the thing is, millennials, yes, I'm speaking on behalf of all of millennials, so sue me. But yes, they would, Sentinel. But millennials and Gen Z, but especially Gen Alpha, these kids who are like, between um gosh, they were born from like 2013, they were born 2013 and later, or whatever, or 2012, it depends who you talk to. Gen Z ends in either 2011 or
Yeah, well,
2012,
you're
it
talking
depends who
Gen
you talk
Alpha.
to.
Yeah,
But
that's
Gen
what's making all
Alpha,
the teachers quit.
well,
Yeah.
not my Gen Alpha. My Gen Alpha's fine. But um these, like, these 10-year-olds, these 11-year-olds, some of these 9-year-olds, like, I cannot tell you how incredible it is to hear, like, when you ask, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I want to be the vicar of Christ. I want to be the Pope. And then
Mm,
the next thing is like, or a professional soccer player, one or the other. But like, the fact that the priesthood is something that they aren't shying away from and aren't afraid of, that's huge.
yeah.
And
Oh, yeah. Well, I should say this though. Remember in Catholic schools, because I used to be there, you don't have to take everybody. So if you had like a kid that tried to tear apart the room, you can expel them. But I'll tell you what. The first time I had a student, some student was picking up a former student was picking up something at my house and knocked on the door, and he's got got a surprise for you. And I'm like, what the hell? It's a surprise. And another student from the same class was there in priestly garb. And
hmm,
I burst into tears. I'm like, you became a priest? And he's like, well, he didn't quite have the collar because I think he was a deacon. And I just
Aw.
bawl. I mean, the first time that happened, you see, I'm old enough. Oh gosh, that's awful. I'm old enough that they became a priest. And I also had some marriages too. But yeah, when they became priests and nuns and sisters, and that's why it needs to be fostered if you're in a good Catholic school. But yeah, there is nothing. I mean, you'll get old enough where,
Our
that kid showing up at my doorstep suddenly dressed in the clerics that just broke me. I mean, it was so beautiful. So beautiful. Because your students, even the ones that you drive you nuts for the most part, they become your children. I mean,
Yeah.
you love them, you nurture them, you raise them in many ways. I
Yeah.
know it's different from a
No,
parent.
it is, but in a way, so like, thankfully we did have the very wise C.S. Lewis, and I think he did a lot of justice when he describes the different types of love. And it is like, we are called in the book of Titus, like, we are supposed to love and nurture children. We are supposed to
Hmm.
help them grow. We are supposed to, with the parents, like, lead, like, following the parents lead, and helping them together, because it really is, um they are the first teachers, and so you really do want to encourage that, because they'll grow in their faith as well. um and it's I wish, I don't know, like, I wish for a lot of things,
Yeah.
but the idea that parents have outsourced not just like the raising of their kids, but just like, I can't tell you, at the school that I was previously at, it was not a Catholic school. It claimed to be a Christian school, but I digress. Um the school that I was previously at, the I had so many parents who had like 3 or 4 kids at this school, right? They had 2, 3, they might be fostering a kid. Um they had multiple kids at this school, and I still remember this specific parent. I was like trying to work with them throughout the whole school year. I was trying to tell them, hey, you know your kiddo is very young, like, beat the September 1st deadline by a day young. um and they're just socially, they aren't where they need to be, but also they're just not retaining the information. It really would be best to, they need to repeat this grade. And the parent looked at me and was like, well, you're the one who's with them more than me, so you should be the one that's correcting this. Like, I shouldn't have to do anything at home. And I was just
Well,
like,
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. And I'll tell you what, there's something that Father Sinatra sent to us. And I'm going to go ahead and put this up.
mhm.
About something that Pope Leo said 9 months ago. And I'll tell you what, this is beautiful. Here we go. Let me find it, share the screen. And I don't know if the
All
sound's
the
going to work.
buttons.
All the buttons. Well, I'm here in this hotel, and so I don't have my usual setup.
Oh
All right.
my.
Okay, here it is. Let's see. I hope it's not gonna mess up. Oh, actually, here's
It
how I'm
will
gonna make it work. Let
it
me
will
know if it mess.
definitely mess up. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we might be shaken up a bit. We might
I
need
can
to
hear
ask questions, and there's a lot of people we can ask questions to. But we continue to walk, placing our trust and our confidence in the Lord, whose Spirit is indeed with us. But we as Catholics have always believed, and I firmly believe what Jesus himself said, the Holy Spirit will never abandon the church. Don't doubt that. The Holy Spirit was part, in some way, shape, or form. I wasn't there, but I truly believe that Pope Francis was elected by that College of Cardinals in 2013 because the church at this time needs Francis. At a different time, we needed Pope Benedict, and at a different time, we needed St. John Paul II, et cetera, et cetera. But the Holy Spirit will never abandon the church, and if we can live placing our trust in that, yeah, we might be shaken up a bit. We might need to ask questions, and there's a lot of people we can ask questions to. But we continue to walk placing our trust and our confidence in the Lord, whose Spirit is indeed with us. But we as Catholics have.
You see, amen and hallelujah.
Yes.
I mean,
and I think that's yes. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. Now, I know some people even you might cringe a bit, even me a little bit when he said we needed Francis. But we have God's permissive will as well. Not just God's active will. So, but what a beautiful thing to say, and how gently he says it, and what he says is absolutely correct.
Yep. And and like the thing is too, though, he isn't wrong necessarily, because regardless of how you and I mean the collective you, not you personally, Miss Martin, but regardless of how you felt about Pope Francis, and I'm sure a lot of that was skewed by the media, because they definitely did not they weren't honest in a lot of the things that they reported on, for lack of a better word.
Snakes.
But yes. And the thing is, it's regardless of how you felt about him, I have never seen more people be unified in the the idea that, because before it was, oh, the Pope is over in Rome, we don't really need to pay attention to him, he's like way off over there, and yeah, it's great that we have him, but we're gonna kind of just continue to do our own thing. And I'm not knocking Pope St. John Paul II,
no,
or Pope Benedict, like that's not what's happening. But what I am saying is, because of the fact that Francis, as you said earlier, Miss Martin, because he was so naive, and because he was so trusting, and because he was gentler, I think would be a good word, on certain things, it made it
he's
very
gentler on the
easy.
wrong things. That was his problem.
Yes, gentler on the wrong things, gentler on things that he should have been stronger on. And
stronger on things he should have been gentler on.
Yes. And it's easy to sit here in Monday Morning Quarterback. I don't have 1.5 billion people looking to me to help lead them home to Christ. You know what I mean? So I can't imagine the amount of pressure that is. But the idea that, I know for a fact that, especially because of how the media was reporting on him, and the way that he was being portrayed, it created a lot of confusion and uncertainty, and like directionlessness feeling, like almost like this feeling of loss. And because of that, so many people are like, we need a strong direction. We need a pope who is a lion of the church. We need a pope who is not afraid to be firm on truly Catholic doctrine. And it's amazing to see that transformation in people, where it was, what does it really matter, to no, it matters.
Yeah, see what happens. Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's funny when people are like, well, what do you think? How do you feel? And I'm like, how about we let him do something as Pope first? And then I'll let you know. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah, but the more I look at this, I know it's only the first day, but we've all been feeling this. I said it again, that they said the same thing on Catholic Answers, and even some of the more quote unquote rad trads, though not the psycho ones, who are ruining everything for everybody. A lot of people have said the exact same thing that's happened, that the whole Leo the 14th, God gave us a lion. And then the more you kind of learn about him, you're like, this is the right guy. Now, I know people have brought up the thing about his spat with Vance and some of the other things with immigration, migration. First of all, yeah, he did. And second of all, he's now the Pope. And when someone becomes the Pope, they get graces. Like God gives you the grace for your vocation. So you got to give him a break on that. And also,
Well,
I don't want to get into the politics of it, but I have been saying for a bit that they've been acting like jackasses, and maybe they needed a kick in the ass. But that's a whole other discussion for another day. But it doesn't matter to a certain degree. We have seen in the past where people have been degenerates, like, sleeping with chicks and women and making babies left and right. And then when they become the Pope, it's like I don't know, they get the graces, and God gives it to them, and they have a complete transformation. I mean, think about it. People, you might see some people nitpicking some tweets and stuff. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on some of it, again, because he's not a political leader. He is a spiritual leader. And I will be very interested in how he goes on moving forward with these things. But when you've got so many of the faithful reporting the same thing. My buddy up here, we just met up and had dinner, and she's like, I felt the same thing. And I said, oh my gosh, they just said it on Catholic Answers, that the Holy Spirit's moving. We may not know where it's going, but the Holy Spirit's moving. And I think this is going to be a very, very exciting time for the church. That's my humble opinion. Let's see. A lot of, what does she say? Be right back. Oh, okay. I'm sitting here waxing. I'm going on and on. Sentinel says, I would like to see the people go after the child trafficking in the world, emphasize that Jesus loved children and their innocence. Yes. See, and that's the kind of stuff that we need, because that's what annoyed people. But some of the things that he was talking about, I got him and I agree with him, is that, yes, there's all sorts of issues that we have with our current situation, but the fact that it doesn't seem to be done with charity and where the dignity of the people. I mean, I've been complaining about this for a while. It's like everything must be done in love. Faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. I did a whole thing on why you cannot be a Catholic and a troll at the same time, that trolling is a sin. Trolling is a sin. But let's look at some more stuff with the... Oh, wait, I'm Lady Gravemaster, you're back. Okay, I didn't know if you wanted to comment on that.
Yeah. So I was still listening. Sorry, I heard a faint mommy calling me from this. I heard a small child calling mommy in the distance, so I had to go take care of that. But yes, no, I agree. I think that
I keep saying, look at how good Trump responded today. And I was like, we got our miracle already, because that's all I've been asking of him.
Yes. Okay, so I was apparently one of the bad Catholics who laughed at him in the Pope as the AI, as the pontiff.
No, I didn't. Yeah, no, that was not okay. That was not okay.
I was like, oh my gosh, this man. And it was more of like this is so on brand for Trump, and I knew exactly what he was trying to do, and it worked. He accomplished... Might even have to jump off. The little one has returned. But I was like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what you're trying to do. And it worked. And I was like, okay, but now I'm curious, like, how is Vance going to respond? And I thought Vance handled it well. He was like, I would prefer a joke over needless wars where people are dying. And I was like, you know what? That's a good way to he's not condoning what Trump did, but he is also stating that there is more serious work that needs to be done, and he wants to focus on that. So this man obviously has his priorities straight. I was like, I appreciate the candidness of that answer, because he clearly understands it to be a joke. And honestly, like, and this is not what is that called in confession, where you do the whole, maybe I did this but it wasn't as bad as so and so. What is that called?
Oh, deflecting or trying to make excuses?
Yeah, yes, there's a
Whataboutism?
yes, there's an actual word for it. It's like you're trying to like lessen the grievousness
Oh,
of
the
your own.
culpability.
Yes, thank you. I could not think of the word. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. It's late, guys, and my brain is fried. It's
Yeah.
been a very emotional and long day.
It's been a smoking day.
It's been a smoking day. But so you're trying to lessen your own culpability by saying, well, yeah, I did this, but it's not as bad as so and so. Okay, but that's like, that is actually, it very is clear in the Bible, you're not supposed to do that. That is judging the plank, or that's judging the speck in your brother's eye while you have a plank in yours. That is exactly what that verse is warning you against doing. And so that's not what this is, but I do have to say, I found it wildly hypocritical to the point of hilarity when, I don't know if you saw, Miss Martin, but all of these leftists who have been, I mean, they mock Catholicism daily. They draw the Pope as a woman. They draw him in like a thong. They draw like all of these just heinous, disrespectful, atrocious, evil things. And Trump shared one AI photograph, and those were the people that were getting the most outraged. And I just sat there like, you know, I chuckled at it. I recognized that it was not in good taste at all. It was a stupid thing to do for sure.
It's stupid.
But the fact that you are the ones, like, not you, but like, the people,
that was hypocritical.
like,
And unfortunately, it took away from the genuine issues that Catholics had with it.
Yes. But like, it got to the point where I was not defending the picture itself, but I was just like, there were a couple of people who were just like, well, how as a Catholic can you be okay with what Trump is doing as the president? And I was like, Biden was cool with abortion and he was Catholic, allegedly. So that's an even bigger issue. Like if we're really going to play that game, if you want to do the whataboutisms, I can do them too. Biden was a Catholic, like claims to be a Catholic, was
He
president.
took the Eucharist. I mean, that is the worst kind of sacrilege. That you drink death upon yourself. Yeah. No, I get it. I'll tell you what my first thought was when I was thinking about the Trump thing and our new Holy Father. I almost wanted to put with the picture of the Holy Father, FAFO, addressed to Trump. However, it felt a little too much. I didn't put that out on Twitter, but good point. Good point. But good point, right? It's like, oh,
excellent point.
God said FAFO. Guess what? Someone's bigger than you. And I think that Trump's response, again, I was so impressed with it. I'm like, dude, that's all we ever really asked. Because I've been saying, like, listen, you got to support, just like Francis, when we say to Francis, you got to support the people that are on your side. It's like, quit crapping on the people that are on your side. Come on, get with it.
The crazy thing too is like, today especially, oh my gosh, hold on. Sorry, I sneezed. The crazy thing too is I have
everything's crazy.
So as we said earlier, I'm not knocking all Protestants. This is not directed at every single one of you at all. Love you, pray for you daily. The amount of hatred today has been volatile from some Protestants, and I don't Some of them, I think, truly do not understand the papal office, like, and they don't know what it actually is, and how we see it, and the man in the office as the successor of Peter. I've heard people say that we think he's Jesus, that we worship the Pope, um, that we think that the Pope is Jesus. And so I've had to explain. Um, I have been informed I ruined Lord of the Rings for one of my friends.
Oh, you
Uh,
explained it to her?
well, him,
Him,
yes.
sorry.
No, you're fine. It was a you had a 50-50 shot. But he got very upset. He was like, the Pope is not the head of the Catholic Church. I said, you are correct. Jesus is the head of the Catholic Church. The Pope is the steward. And he was like, and you're saying that there isn't a you're saying that there hasn't ever been a pope that was bad for the church? And I said, nobody said that. And they're like, well, you think the Pope is infallible? And I said, no.
Well, yeah,
The
hey, we
chair
have to
of
explain that.
yes.
Yeah,
As
there's an episode with Odin on that, yeah.
yes. And so like then I had to explain it. And he was like, why can't you all just be Catholics like Tolkien? And I was like, what? And he was like, well, yeah, this, that, and the other. And I was like, you know that line? I said, trust me, Tolkien, like, he very much let popes know how he felt,
Oh,
through
yeah.
his writing. And I was like, but especially because when I tried to explain that Gondor is the White City on a hill, I was like, that's literally Rome. And he's like, no, it's not. It is though.
Well,
It is.
remember, Tolkien didn't necessarily have a one-to-one allegory.
Yes.
He was
Not a
very
one-to-one
cautious about
allegory.
that. He talked about the applicability of these
Yes.
things.
Okay. And I'm not disagreeing with you, but he also admitted that the Lord of the Rings is a Catholic work.
Oh, yeah, I mean, and
Very,
he
very
explained it very
Catholic.
much. So,
And,
definitely it's applicable, and I'm just saying that he was always
well,
cautious about
the
one-to-one. Though he
yes,
did
I
say
have
about
to
the
find
Galadriel and the Blessed Mother, didn't he?
yes, he
Yeah,
did.
and the
So,
Eucharist and
there's
the angels
angels,
and
the
God
lambas
and the
bread, yep.
creation. Yeah,
There's a lot of one-to-one. For
March
somebody who
25th,
yes,
Christmas, yeah.
the for someone who didn't like allegory, he admitted to a lot of it. But yeah, it the line, so it is not it's not directly it's not exact from the books, but my friend had only ever seen the movies, so forgive him. Um but I was like, trust me, if you read the books, you cannot hide the Catholicism. Um but the line where Gandalf is saying, the authority is not given to you to deny the return of the king, steward, that he is talking about very specific popes at that point. Um, because there were some popes, but again, they are human. Now, you Catholics explained what is actually infallible about the Pope and the papacy and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure. Oh my gosh, was it Pope John the 11th who was the anti-pope?
I believe so, and you had, of course, a lot of the Borgia ones, the
Yes.
Medicis.
So it's it's fascinating um to sort of like know that, but that line specifically is directed at um the papacy, because the Pope is the steward of God's church until Jesus comes back. And uh when I was younger, I never understood why Gandalf was so passionate about that particular point. And then I realized that men, like Adam, fell to temptation. Men can fall to temptation. Jesus didn't. And the church will never fall because, as we saw Pope Leo XIV say, like, he will never abandon the church.
Yeah. Well, he said so. The gates of hell will not prevail.
It will not prevail, but it doesn't mean they're not going to try.
And then,
And
yeah,
they
make some
definitely have.
dents.
Yeah, they've definitely tried. And So that particular, like, as I got older, I started to realize Tolkien was very, very direct about I will say this. I think that Tolkien, like, I can't speak for the man. He is obviously passed, and Christopher, his son, has passed. But based off of what the man has said and did in his life, and the works that he wrote, and the fact that we know he was a staunch, devout, traditional Catholic, I'm pretty sure that line would have been delivered to a he would have probably directed it at a more recent pope. I will say that much. Like, just the fact that you cannot be weak-willed, you cannot fall to temptation. Do not let the power that is afforded to you in the king's absence get to your head and make you think that you somehow could forego what is meant to be.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, first of all, hats off to the seagull who was there, and the smoke kind of knocked him off. He was like, "What's going on?" And everyone getting excited and crying and everything. Though, as you look at the seagull, he's like, "What?" This is Steve's dream. Smash that seagull out. There we go.
Smashed him.
Yeah.
Zion, sorry, he was upset that I pointed out the Catholicism in The Lord of the Rings, and that line specifically was directed at popes, because he was of the mind that Tolkien probably never concerned himself with the Pope at all.
Yeah.
Which is not true. So,
yeah.
Look at that drip. Look at
it. Hey, check out what Raymond Burke said. He's my man. He's my man. If he had become the Pope, I would have been very happy for reasons he probably won't. Yeah, we love Cardinal Burke. You've never met him, have you?
No.
Oh my gosh, girl.
By 2 days.
Yeah, I've several times. We need to go. I'll bring you to Ireland with me, and we can go to that conference. I had tea with the man. Yeah. Well, tea. Well, you didn't know that?
No, you never told me that.
Oh, every year I used to do and there's only like 30 people there. I was one of the few lay people, so I sat and yapped with him. Yeah, he's a great man. He is a freaking teddy bear. But I'll tell you that story. Oh gosh, girl, well, come on. We'll talk later. I'll tell you stories. I'll tell you stories about Cardinal Burke. There's a reason why I like him so much, because I've met him. And gentlest man you've ever met. Like, sometimes I think he can seem stern because when we hear of him, but oh my gosh, one of the most pastoral, squishy, nice guys you've ever met. But speaking with authority, I'll tell you what, he's a great cardinal. But anyways, this is what he said. And this man, I will die on the limb that this man has some of the best discernment I've ever seen in my life. So whatever he has, he said it, and it's beautiful. He said, "Please join me in thanking our Lord for the election of Pope Leo XIV, successor of St. Peter, as a shepherd of the church throughout the world. The Shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe at La Crosse has a particular strong bond with the Roman Pontiff, especially through its affiliation with the Basilica of St. Mary Major. I urge all pilgrims and friends of the shrine to pray fervently for Pope Leo XIV, that our Lord, through the intercession of Our Lady of Guadalupe, St. Peter Apostle, and Pope St. Leo the Great, will grant him abundant wisdom, strength, and courage to do all that our Lord is asking of him in these tumultuous times. May God bless Pope Leo and grant him many years. Viva il Papa."
I do love Cardinal Burke. Yeah, I am also a big fan of Bishop Strickland.
Yeah.
You don't have to be. I've met
No, I am a huge fan of his. However, prudence. People need to be prudent. He had a little bit of an internet addiction. It's sometimes you don't need to blab on X. You got to be careful if you're in a position of authority. That's my humble opinion.
Hmm.
I pray for him. I love him. And I think what happened to him was incredibly unjust.
Yep.
But on the other hand, wise as a serpent, innocent as a dove. But yeah, no, I love him. I do, and I pray for him very much. But in any case, oh yeah, they're leaving me, Sean Sue. Thank you for being here so much. But yeah, here's our man wearing his traditional vestments. Again, if you haven't read Rerum Novarum, you'll know the significance of the Leo the 14th. Look at Scott Hahn with Vance. I mean, come on. Scott Hahn, of course, we all know him, Rome Sweet Home, and all that. He started that revolution in the church in America. And I was one of them. I mean, there was this huge exodus. I wasn't obviously a clergy, but we all came in, and here we go.
It's really interesting how Americans are taught history. So a lot of people think that the first Thanksgiving was like Protestants and
the
like
pilgrims, all that,
and Indians, and they were like, oh well, they were Anglican or they were Lutheran. But when you actually look in history, the first people that landed in the New World, the first Thanksgiving was a Catholic mass
in St. Augustine. A huge old cross there. Have you been there, by the way? It's gorgeous.
Yes.
Woo!
I love it. And and so when I tell people that, and they're like, that isn't true, and I say Google it, and then they do, they get mad at me. And I'm like, I wasn't being, I'm even nice about it. Like, I was like, maybe it's the way I am informing them of this, or maybe it is the way that I am approaching this, because here is the thing. I don't know that it's necessarily prideful, but it is impossible for me to hide the fact that I'm Catholic. It's not something that I have ever been able to do. I have lost friends and family over it. No lie. I have been told multiple times to my face that I am giving my children to hell, that I am going to hell, that Catholicism is not true, that Catholicism is a sham, that Catholicism is idolatry. Like, so many things have been said to my face that it's not that I'm not allowed to react.
You're a bit defensive.
But well, not near as defensive as I could be, because quite frankly, like, you can say anything about me, but to think that I would, as a parent, do something that would
lead your children to hell.
Yes, is like, I can't believe that people would suggest something when you can see, like, by your fruits ye shall know them. Like, you can see that that is not the case. You can see that they are not wanton or lost or confused. My oldest and my second oldest can say multiple prayers in Latin. They can read Latin. They can speak some ecclesiastical Latin. My third youngest is like, every day we learned a new Latin word. This is what the word is, and this is what it means. And it's just so amazing. And my youngest is just so full of Christ and the Holy Spirit, and comes, like, like, I get done teaching and I go pick them up from their classes, and my youngest is just always bursting with what, like how much I love Jesus and how much I learned today, and I made this picture to glorify Jesus today. And I'm like, this is a small child doing this. And
yeah, I mean, I know, I get it, and you have love, and I mean, I think I know, yeah, it does. It completely sucks, and definitely for your heart, the heart of a mother, of course, you feel like that. But I thought JD Vance as well. I've talked about the message that Trump did that I like so much. I should probably read that out, but let's read out what JD Vance said. Congratulations to Leo the 14th rather, the first American Pope on his election. I'm sure millions of American Catholics and other Christians will pray for his successful work leading the church. May God bless him. So, yay. And I don't have it up here, but let me go ahead and read what President Trump said. Congratulations to Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, who was just named Pope. It is such an honor to realize that he is the first American Pope. What excitement and what a great honor for our country. I look forward to meeting Pope Leo the 14th. It will be a very meaningful moment. I mean, boom, that's all he has to do. I thought that was, a very nice message. Wait, what did Steve said? Level 1 clerical. I love it. I'll tell you, the memes have been great. It's been fantastic. Yeah. Okay, here he is when the Pope comes out and peering on the balcony. I mean, it was pretty epic. And I got to admit, when I saw him wearing the traditional robes, I was like,
when he was in the vestments, I cried. And my class was just like, Mrs. Grave, what's wrong, Mrs. Gravemaster? That's obviously not my name, but that'd be a sick teacher name though, right? Mrs. Gravemaster.
Oh, that'd be awesome. People would think you were great.
Right? Yeah. But they'd be like, what's wrong, Mrs. Gravemaster? And I'm just like, you don't understand. It does the heart so good because it's
I know. I mean, it really was nice. And I did have his comment. I'm sorry. So you can read it here. And then someone made a picture of that's obviously not our new Pope, or maybe it's an AI thing, but having them there. Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, it really helped my heart in his emotion. And it was
the humility, the emotion, there are not many times. I do think that, there are men should not cry, but for a few things. That seems like an appropriate single tear shed moment for sure.
Yeah. Now here's some of his comments. Check this out. This is what he says. The apostolic tradition is very clear, especially with regard to the question of the possibility or not of the ordination of women to the priesthood. Yeah, that ticked off a lot of people. Yeah, and then the promotion of gender ideology is confusing because it seeks to create genders that don't exist.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It is 100% accurate. The fact that he is very strong on these 2 points, because these are 2 points with which modernism will try to infest the church to its very core, to its very foundation. It does the heart good.
Yeah. And of course, this moment, you could tell he was milking it. He even paused for the cheering. And now, okay, Babylon B, gotta love him. Now, this is actually a funny joke, a little bit dark, but
the best ones are.
Yeah, JD Vance already making plans to kill the new Pope because, of course, he was the last person to meet Francis.
Right? Yes. Vance gave an incredible interview about that. How he did not realize he would be the last person that Pope Francis would receive.
Yeah.
And how meaningful that is, especially the fact that, okay, so here's the other thing. Pope Francis knew he was going to die. Pope Francis knew he was on his way out. And this man still, again, regardless how you felt about him, this man still showed up for mass. I'm sorry, people, you don't have an excuse.
Yeah. And, and say what you will, there was something very moving about the fact that he was obviously 1 foot in the grave, and it was like he knew, and he did that last lap on his Pope mobile, and everyone was allowed to cheer him on, because I think everyone knew that he was getting ready to go. So everyone got to say goodbye to him, and I think that was very moving.
Everybody was really surprised that he didn't pass away sooner, because
Mhm.
he was struggling so, like, I mean, do you remember that was 3 weeks of he's still on
Yeah.
the ventilator, he's in critical, but he's stable, he's out of critical, he's doing better, but he's still on a ventilator, he's off the ventilator, he's on the ventilator. Like, that was, I was like, listen, my heart can't take this. Like,
Yeah. Oh, I know.
it, I,
It's been a long month. I mean,
yes,
we've been through the ringer. It's just been something else. And
yes,
here's another one. This is what he says about priests. The world needs holy priests, not managers.
yes.
Formation must aim for holiness, not just competence.
Amen.
Amen,
Amen.
amen. And oh, this is just another picture. Oh yeah, Insurrection Barbie. Now this is completely written by AI.
Oh, I'm
Uh,
sure.
yeah, with her here, and it marks a significant moment. Okay, maybe we'll come back to that. That has his biography, and then
Uh-huh.
Catholic Vote shows this here. So here's John Paul II. Woo!
Look at that drip.
Yeah, Benedict. I'll tell
Benedict.
you, I love John Paul too. I cried and cried and cried and cried
I
when he
did too.
died, but Benedict is my man.
I
Benedict is
loved
my
Pope
man.
Benedict too. The thing is, I was talking to some of my coworkers. I was like, I was not alive when Benedict, or when uh Saint
John Paul.
John Paul II was elected pope. I was not alive. And I was very young when he died, but even when he died, I like the magnitude, I remember it. I just remember, like, my grandma was weeping.
Yeah, I mean, you
My
gotta admit, he was so much part, not just of the church and inviting us in, be not afraid and all that, but it was also the communism, the fall of communism with him. People don't know if they didn't live through the Iron Curtain. Now, people literally lived on the other side of the Iron Curtain,
Mhm.
but, the first half of my life, well, first oh gosh, not half anymore. The first 2/3 of my life was Iron Curtain, and knowing people that were behind it and that you couldn't see him. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just insane. But yeah, so here's the Holy Father Benedict. Yay, we love him. And then they're pointing out, yeah, that Francis didn't wear them. And that kind of wasn't cool.
It was,
Um,
so yeah, a lot of people, the justification given for it was that he wanted to be humble.
mm-mm. It's the opposite of humble.
And yes, and so he didn't want to wear all of the garb, or all of the traditional vestments and stuff, because it was too flashy. And I was stunned that that is the approach, that was the statement that he made, because it would seem to be the exact opposite, that you are attempting to
Draw
take.
You're drawing attention to yourself.
Yeah, you're
It's like, remember Jesus rebuked Peter when Peter was
Mhm.
like, "No, no, no, you're not gonna wash my feet." And Jesus was like, "I'm not
Yes.
dealing with this. I'm
Yes.
not dealing with this false
And
humility."
that was
And J
exactly it.
and he remember when Judas was the one who objected to the richness and stuff when,
Yes.
Saint, Mary of, who was it? Lazarus's sister, of Martha and Mary
Martha,
fame.
yes.
Yeah, when she put the oil on his head and he's like, Jesus rebuked that kind of attitude. But
Yes.
and then look, woo, we're back. Okay, so he's doing
Amen.
it. He knows, and I think that he listened. It really did seem like the Cardinals were. I was paying attention. That it's like, hey, listen, we
There were
understand everything that was going on with Francis, but you've got to feed the entire flock. That you got to
Yes.
reach out to sinners, but you also have to feed the sheep, because that is like the charge that Jesus gave Saint
Yes.
Peter. He said, "Feed my lambs, feed my sheep." That was his charge, and I felt like this was a good start.
Yes. And I think, um people don't seem to understand, symbols matter. Symbols
Yes,
matter. That's
yes, they
why
do.
they are symbols. There is a reason why, Oh my gosh, that meme, the bears
Yeah,
meme
it
has
took
been going.
a few seconds for a meme to emerge. Yes, yes,
I
this has
saw
been the best thing to emerge. That they tried to claim him.
the
Hey,
Bears,
Chicago,
the
he's a
Cubs.
Cubs fan, and the official thing,
Oh,
and then they got community noted because
yes.
the brother in an interview had said, no, actually, it's fake news because he was always a
A
Sox
Sox
fan.
fan.
And so,
But
oh, the memes that have come out of that already. One of my favorite lines was, "You mean finally the White Sox won something?" I thought that was great.
oh,
It's all in good fun. It's really good. You're
his
way younger than 40? Oh yeah, you are. Yeah, you're a baby. Yeah. Whoops. Yeah. No, I'm the old lady here.
I,
But
you're
people
not
actually think
old.
I'm young. I'll tell you. What'd you say?
So you're not old.
No, I'm not. Well, I don't look old because one of my students, I was telling her about life before the internet. She says, "You're not old enough." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I am." I was like, "Well, how old do you think I am?" And she said, like 36. And I go, "Could you please say that again?" And I was like, it's all that Icelandic mud I put on my face.
There you go.
I import it for real. We need to go there, girl. We're going on a tour. Okay.
I would love to.
Now here we see Pope Leo the 14th.
14th, yes.
And there is the 13th.
13th.
Yay. We love Pope. Yeah. I'll tell you, if you have not read
His
Rerum Novarum,
mhm.
read it and read it now.
His
And
so Pope Leo the 13th Wikipedia page has also been ransacked by
of course it
randos.
has.
I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh my gosh. You like so when I went to go like as soon as the name got announced and I went to go look at the Wikipedia page of Leo the 13th, I could see changes happening in real time. Suddenly it was so like the sentence originally read that he was a staunch advocate. He was a staunch advocate for working men and the conditions that they were in, and he was
Well, yeah. I
he
mean,
was
that's taking a truth and twisting it. It sounds
yeah,
like.
and he was and that the because what Pope Leo the 13th said was that every human life like had like they are gifts from God, and therefore they have the sanctity of life, no like all the way to the child in the womb, like all the like down to the child of the womb. And then it got twisted. Now if you go read his Wikipedia page, it says Pope Leo the 13th was I think it says like trailblazer for social justice. And I was like, dude, he was pope from 1878 to 1903. What are you talking about social justice?
He was a trailblazer. He was for the rights of workers, but he was also
Very against
really
communism.
anti what we call. So yeah, he was
Communism,
very much
socialism.
socialism,
He
communism. Yeah,
hated
he's
it.
like that is not the answer. Okay,
Not at
so the
all.
Chicago White Sox decided to get revenge, and they show the quote from the brother from the interview that was done today. Little they know, it's like, "Hey, Chicago, he's a Sox fan." And like history moments imprinted in history, so they are totally
Yeah, he was
trolling
never ever a Cubs
them.
fan, so I don't know where that came from. He was always a Sox fan.
Yeah. So I mean, I love it. So this is all in good fun. You see, and then the White Sox right now. Look at this. So okay, and then
the memes have been so freaking good.
And then Babylon Bee. Oh no, it's not Babylon Bee. I'm sorry, Associated Press. Greta Thunberg glues herself to Vatican protesting conclave smoke emissions, and so it's like, oh yeah, even now she's giving us trouble. And of course with the seagull, because the seagull's famous. Oh, here we go. The
World Series back on.
There we are. I love it. I love it. It sucks on 35th, and then let's see. Oh,
oops.
Yeah. Here's here's a good thing. Radical pro-abortion group Catholics for Choice blasts new Pope Leo XIV. That's
Good.
what I call a ringing endorsement for the man.
Amen.
Yeah.
One of my favorite memes is it's literally I can't remember the name of the rapper, but it's a rapper with a really big like gold chain around his neck.
Oh yeah,
And
he's
and
smoking something.
he's like, check out this drip, and then it's the picture of Pope Leo XIII, and he's like, you ain't got nothing on me, and I was like, bro,
Oh, that's a different one. Okay, gotcha.
it's so
Hey, now,
funny.
now this was cool. He was meeting the Vatican staff, and I guess a daughter or something was there. I don't know who this kid is, but she had a autograph book, and he signed it, and that was the first time he signed
His
Leo
papal
XIV.
name.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool, and the warmth he had here. I mean, it's just it's so cool. Yeah. All right. I don't
I'm
know if this is
ecstatic.
yeah. I don't know if this is real. Oh, wait, I guess it says Pope Leo XIV at the 2005 World Series. Okay. Oh look. Little these guys knew.
Little did they know. Little did they know. I like how he's in the tuxedo shirt.
Yeah.
It's actually it's a White Sox shirt. That's so anybody that like knows a little bit about baseball, we viciously mock the White Sox. I'm a Twins fan, so I really have no room to talk.
Yeah.
But
hey, I don't even know anything about baseball except now I'm just totally into the White Sox. This guy, okay, when he comes to America, he needs to come to Chicago and he needs to throw out the first pitch at a White Sox game. That would be amazing.
Bro, that would be epic.
And we're all white, like a baseball outfit, but it's all white, including the baseball cap. It's all white.
He needs red shoes.
And red shoes. Yeah, let's do it. Make it so. Wouldn't that be awesome? I am advocating for it here. Let's start it. Let's make it so.
Let thy intentions be known. Should my mass dedication is going to be like, where it gets to for the intentions that you hold in the silence of your heart. Mine's literally now going to be for the Pope to wear
throw out the first pitch.
To throw out the first pitch in red shoes and then all
red
white.
Shoes, white. Yeah, let's do it. Well, remember there was a thing with Pope Benedict where he was wearing a hat, it was cold and he had a winter jacket on with his pape stuff.
Yes.
And it looked just like from Hoth, and someone photoshopped him into the battle of
on the Hoth. I remember that. Sometimes the internet gets it right. Nike Air Leos. I love it. Let's make it so.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'll tell you what, speaking of good fun times, like with Pope Benedict, because remember how he wasn't allowed to have any cats in his thing? I actually was one of the people that signed a petition that he should be given a dispensation to bring cats with him into the Vatican residence. And then when he, and then people would how people would bring babies. People started bringing cats, like when he would go out in the country. It's like, oh my gosh. Baseball always seemed more true American to me than American football. I agree. That's why it's called America's pastime. Yeah. Good point. Let's see if we can find it on Hoth. Pope Benedict on Hoth. You see, only the internet.
Baseball is having an identity crisis, and that's why football has overtaken it. For anybody that cares, the like where baseball is struggling is for a while it tried to be something that it isn't. It tried to be basketball, and it tried to be football, and it tried to oh my gosh, I don't know how many of you all remember this, but much like how there should not be female deacons, female priests, female pope, and everything in between, the MLB really tried to get female players, and tried to cater to women.
What?
And yes, so the MLB tried very hard to cater to women. It tried to bring more women in because, again, they go back to this ridiculous study that says women are the ones who spend the money. this is not untrue. Women, like, they will outspend men for the most, like, the average woman, especially in America, will outspend the average male. However, when you are talking about fans, when you are talking about, like, this is their passion, like, it's not just that they are a fan, this is their passion. The amount of money and legacy, because that's what else is missing. When MLB changed its identity to attempt to cater to women and what they thought women wanted, and started neglecting the male fans who had been fans for generations, suddenly now you don't have generational fans. You don't have that legacy being passed on anymore. And the MLB took that for granted. They thought that was always going to be there. Sounds a lot like a lot of other institutions. And because it was taken for granted, by the time they tried to course correct, those fans had either died and not passed on their love of the game, or they had just simply left. And so they're like, oh, attendance is down. What can we do to get butts in seats? Okay, well, first of all, maybe don't make the seats $116 for nosebleeds. Like, the idea behind baseball was much like the idea behind the movie theater. It was a working man's sport. It was something that men could go to and enjoy. And it's
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going on a rant about baseball, but
Yeah, we got
essentially,
well, it's relevant because the Pope apparently likes
Yes.
the White Sox.
yes.
Sakura Bleu, thank you. I think he said that social justice was first coined by the Catholic Church during the time, and it was appropriated. Well, it definitely was appropriated. I
don't think. Hold on.
Yeah, well, we can fact check that. But no, I know what the point that you're making, though,
Yeah.
and it's a valid point. Oh, you know what? I got this here. Let me see if I can bring this up. Because this is actually from my friend. She found this connection. Let me share between Pope Leo the 13th and Mother Cabrini. Apparently,
Firecracker of Saint.
yes. Oh, yeah. Tammy, she said, St. Francis Xavier Cabrini, who was sent to America by Pope Leo the 13th. That is true. He did.
Mhm.
To care for Italian immigrants in America. God, incidentally, she passed into eternal life in Chicago. Please pray for our new Papa, Pope Leo the 14th, that he may guide our church in these times. And here is a painting of Mother Cabrini with Pope Leo the 13th as in Italy.
Really did not want to come to America.
No, well,
She did not want to come to America. She wanted to go elsewhere. And Pope Leo the 13th was like, nope, you're gonna go here.
Yeah, got a better idea.
And she is famous for saying that she will not rest until she has wrenched every infant from the grasp of Protestants.
Well, she was hardcore for sure.
She was also, you know who else is pretty hardcore? Joan of Arc. May have heard of her.
Yeah.
Just a little saint.
Yeah,
nothing too. She never did anything too crazy.
Yeah.
The fact that feminists attempt to turn her into some kind of feminist icon,
that's ridiculous.
Just makes me laugh, because I'm like, listen, she would be scourging me for sure because I am far from perfect, but if you think that Joan of Arc would not absolutely light you on fire, like, not literally, but like
she got lit on fire, sadly.
She unfortunately did. But like, if you don't think that she would not call you like heathens and heretics, and
Yeah,
like
she would hate
like,
she would hate everyone. She probably wouldn't be fun at parties.
no, she wouldn't be fun of like when we say devout hardcore. I mean, there's a reason God showed up and was like, "Hey, come on." Because even as a child, like even when you read the history, yes, she would play, and yes, she would, they would do flowers and stuff. But even as a child, she was incredibly serious, like incredibly, incredibly intense, and that did not lessen when she took up armor and literally fought for God and helped the French free themselves from the English. Like,
Yeah.
I see, this is what I mean, Miss Martin. Like, you have to laugh because otherwise you'll cry. Like, the fact that they want to turn her into some feminist. What transformer is that the word we're using? Transformer icon, bro. I cannot even. This is what happens when you get catechized by Hollywood. That's what happens.
Yeah, they claimed, all of that. Well, and then check this out. Of course, my gal, Saint Therese of Lisieux. Here's some things about Pope Leo XIII. Pope Leo XIII, from the Century of Revolution, giving us the Saint Michael prayer, the Arch Confraternity of the Most Holy Rosary, and the Arch Confraternity of the Holy Face. And he was Saint Therese's Pope, and they actually met. I've talked about that before. Lord, may Pope Leo XIV continue Leo XIII's work, thy will be done, Father. And of course, they called them the Army of Lions. We said we needed a lion, and well, God willing, we got one.
I wonder, there were a lot of smiles. A lot of cardinals were smiling when they were on the outer balcony waiting for Pope Leo to come out.
Yeah.
I wonder when he chose Pope Leo, I wonder what went through their minds. You know what I mean? Because like your name, when you choose your papal name, it says something.
Yeah.
It sends a clear message of what you wish to do.
Yeah.
So,
and to me, it shows that he listened. He heard. Because we all made our voices heard. And I think that we're going to have what I call a both and pope, not an either or pope. But I'll tell you what, this is going to be a very interesting time. I know some people are a little bit in despair right now.
Chinese curse.
Yeah, may you live in interesting times. But I mean, regardless of how you feel, like if some people are disappointed or whatever, you cannot deny that we are called to pray for the Holy Father. Sometimes when I used to complain about priests and stuff, I would get a little bit rebuked. It's like, well, do you pray for priests? And it's like, oh.
That was a shortcoming of mine that got brought to my attention a couple of years ago, and I was like, I kind of don't.
Yeah, or the Pope, and it's like, hey, it's like, wait a second. Like Therese, she hung out with a bunch of priests when she went on that pilgrimage to Rome. When she came back, she said, okay, when I enter the convent, I'm going to pray for priests.
Right? Like, it's not that, like, I really more just kind of like lump them, but where I'm just kind of like, I pray for my brothers and sisters of the Catholic Church and of the entire world. And my prayer intention used to be that, like, that the priests and the bishops and the cardinals and the archbishops and the Pope, that they do honor to their office, to their calling. It never occurred to me to be like, hey, maybe like cut them some slack. Because I guess I'm, I wonder sometimes, like, what is it like to be on the other side of that confessional? And
they have to listen to me.
I know, right?
It's like, you have to listen. It's your job.
Oh,
yeah.
What must that be?
And Satan attacks priests. I mean, see, that's the other thing, is that, should we be surprised that priests are, when they fall as hard as they do? I mean, I think we should be surprised it doesn't happen more often, because if you get the general, then you get the people.
Oh, yeah.
And we see,
it is an hourly thing. They are constantly trying to tear priests away.
Yeah,
from
I
the
mean,
church.
for crying out loud, look at Carrie to ours. What happened to that man? Yeah,
Ooh,
literally.
that's a 10-hour stream on its own.
Yeah,
Oof.
that's why he's a patron saint of priests. But we as lay
Mhm.
people too. I mean, sometimes I do feel called to, quit being such a dork. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, I was very upset about a certain situation. I don't like the unemployment that's happening, and I didn't like the fact that people were thinking it was funny. And so I was like, well, what can I do to help out some of these folks? So I went and got a bunch of, like, there's toiletries and things like that.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, okay, well, then go do something for the poor. Go do something for the people that are unemployed. Maybe
Yep.
see if there's something you can do to help them maybe in this transition. So those are the kind of things that you can do. Because sometimes, you can bitch and complain. It's like, well, am I doing something?
Yep.
It's like, of course, I can't solve all the problems of the world, but I can solve that. And the reason why I wanted to get toiletries, because everyone always wants for St. Vincent de Paul, they're always giving them like cans of food and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. But often people, they need like toothbrushes, they need soap, they
Yeah, and they
need,
want to feel human.
yeah, they need their dignity. Or, when you do see a homeless person, there's not a lot you can do for them, but sometimes outside the 7-Eleven, yeah, I'll go and I'll at least buy them some water or something because,
So,
people
and
get dehydrated.
this is something that I learned very much the hard way. So when I was stationed out in California, there are homeless people everywhere. Yes, he did.
Mhm.
And I will never forget. I gave this. So there were we were not allowed. So I went with the uh base church, the church that's on base that
Oh,
services
yeah.
multiple denominations. Um I went with the like the church group, the Catholic group from the church to go do humanitarian efforts. And we went to this bridge, and I'm not kidding, there were probably 100 people down there.
Mhm.
Men, women, children. And I gave this little girl my medal that I was wearing, my
Oh.
my saint medal. And when I tell you that this old woman was clear, so like I don't know if you guys have ever been to California, but there's like the roads are 4-lane roads. So they're very wide. And there was a cement barrier in between, a divider, if you will. So this older woman, she had to be in her 70s, possibly 80s, right? And we went down there and we only had 85 stockings. Yep, Sentinel, that's exactly where we were. Um and um we only had 85 stockings. And I gave the last stocking to this little girl. And about 2 tenths down, this woman starts screaming obscenities to me. And there's a woman across the road. It's a 4-lane road, and there's this concrete divider. And she's hunched over on this walker. This is very important. And this little girl is very scared. And I was like, listen, you don't have to be afraid. Um, you know, like, we're here. God's with you too, like, don't be afraid. And I was wearing my St. Michael medal, and I gave it to her.
Oh.
When I tell you the old woman across the road cleared 4 lanes of traffic, 4 lanes of road, because there's not a lot of traffic down under that bridge, but 4 lanes of 4 lanes of road, and the cement divider, in a time that it would have taken a young, healthy man, it would have taken him at least 30 seconds, maybe 20 seconds to cross that road. She was there in literally the blink of an eye, and she was like hissing and foaming at the mouth and saying, like, take that thing off of her, she doesn't need it. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
I had to like go put this child in the tent so that there was some kind of barrier. And I just turned around, and that is like literally, I to this day I am convinced that that woman was either insane or it was a demonic possession. And I lean towards demonic possession because I also wear a rosary around my wrist. And as soon as I held my hand up and she saw it, I mean, the screech that came out of her was unholy. And she was back, like, I swear, I blinked and she was back across the road. It was like the whole thing never happened. It was horrifying. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
what actually just occurred? And the lady that was 2 tenths down was just like, keep your head down. You don't want to mess with her. And I was just like, how can you? Because you're not really supposed to talk to them. You're not supposed to strike up conversation. But I literally, like, I was like, how can you live here? Like, how can you let stuff like that happen? And the fact that her response was better than paying bills and having to work a 9 to 5 for some slave driver. I'll use a nicer word than she used. She was like, I got everything that I need. And people like you just keep bringing it to me. I am not kidding you. I was like, okay, so we've got Satan working double time here, because when you hear individuals who are homeless, they're choosing to be that way, and they know they can get away with it because there are people who are always attempting to be charitable and fulfill like their duty as Christians. It would be very easy to get jaded and just stop. But because of that experience, I now, like, I specifically attempt to help just the kids. The adults, I'll buy like a sandwich for or something. But the kids, I usually, I'm a little bit more generous with the children. I'm not gonna lie. So it did jade me somewhat. But holy crap, it was probably top 5 most horrifying things in my life.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I think we've all kind of been there at least once or twice around, and you just can't explain it. Just the rage. I mean, like, I'll see. There was a taxi driver here in town where I am, and he had, I think it was like Hindu beads or something. And I'm like, okay, they're there. I didn't fly into a rage. I didn't lose my crap. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but why do people like just lose it, over beads, for example? And of course, we all know because Satan hates Our Lady more than anything else. That's very detailed in the Book of Revelation, which I've Catholic explained in. Speaking of which, yeah, when a Catholic explained the Rosary, because that is one of them, and Mary as Ark of the Covenant. It's sad, says Sentinel. I want to keep cash alive, but the majority of the time I just use cards or app. I Venmo my brother to reimburse him because he keeps cash with him for things.
Yeah, a lot of homeless people, they have cash apps and Venmos now because they have really nice phones.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely pray for you. And, of course, on the journey that you're on, and I think I said it earlier that, if you wanted to choose a new name, I mean, you can add names. Now, I got lucky because, of course, I was not confirmed. So I literally got to choose a new name. So I added several names onto my name I already have. But certainly, there's no law against calling yourself whatever you want to. Like my grandfather, his middle name, he always went by his middle name because he didn't like his first name. But yes,
I know
and you can have you can choose as many saint names as middle name, fourth name, fifth name, as you want to, especially if it's something that you want to do, as part of your new life and coming home and all that.
Just as Miss Martin had pointed out several times throughout this stream, though, make sure you use discernment and reverence when you do it. Because there are a lot of incredible saints, and but at least what I was taught was when you choose your saint, your patron saint, your personal saint, the one, like, it's supposed to be a story that inspires you to deepen your relationship with Jesus is the main goal, because that's what saints do. Saints make more saints because the idea of sainthood is you have done what Christ called you to do. Like, that's a very simple, single, like, single level explanation of it, but at the bare minimum, if you had to explain it in just a few words, saints make saints, because the idea of sainthood is you have fulfilled the calling that Jesus Christ calls for all of us to do. And so the saints' jobs are to help put you on a path to Jesus. So the saints are amazing, because they are proof that humans here on earth are capable of living what Jesus taught and what Jesus said. And they have reached that. This is how they did it. So maybe this is a path that you can also walk, at least until you maybe find your calling off of, like, from that path, from that guidance. And I think that's another big one. I know you've Catholic explained this too, Miss Martin, but when Catholics say to Jesus through Mary, we're not saying that you, like, oh, you have to make a pit stop at his mom before you can get to Jesus. What we're saying is that Mary, because Mary said yes, she gave Jesus to the world, and she gave the world to Jesus. Like, she is the reason that we have him, right? Because she said yes. And so it is possible, if you, oh gosh, what, like, literally a perfect woman. So if you attempt to live your life as Mary did, filled with grace, and trusting completely in God, and trusting completely in her son Jesus, and seeing how she is a perfect example of how human beings can get to heaven, like, that's what it's talking about. She wants you to come to her son. She wants to bring you to her son, because we are all her children as well. And
Yeah.
and so, like, any mother would want the best for their child, for their children. So she wants you to come to her son. So she is out here as an instrument of God's will, like, attempting to get you there. And some people really don't like that Mary is the one attempting to get you to Jesus. And
I wonder who that is. Who's the real big one that really has a problem with that?
Yeah.
Who could it be? I just can't imagine.
Cannot imagine.
Yeah. Okay. That's what the priest said to at Mass on Sunday. He says he wants to be a Teresa or a Stein, because he definitely has a devotion to Saint Edith Stein. Oh, there we go.
There
Okay.
you go.
Well, yeah, we do
Stein,
need
I don't know who Stein.
Saint Edith. That was her name, Saint Edith Stein. That was her.
I don't know her.
Saint Teresa Benedict of the Cross. She was a Carmelite who
I know Saint Teresa.
She died at Auschwitz.
Okay.
You don't know Saint
Teresa,
Saint Edith Stein, Saint Teresa Benedicta of the Cross, girl. Girl, she was an atheist, and then she read the Teresa of Avila autobiography, and then said, "This is the truth." And then she became a Catholic, and then because she was of Jewish heritage, she lost her job when Hitler came to Hitler, and then she became a Carmelite nun, and then she ended up at Auschwitz. Girl, you didn't know that?
Nope.
Oh,
there's
my
a lot.
gosh,
there's
that's
so
a story.
Much. There's a reason that they have. There's a reason they have dozens of canon lawyers and, like, canon historians in the church.
Oh, they're my Teresas, because I mean, check this out. All the Teresas are all named after each other. You have Teresa of Avila, and then Teresa of Lisieux was named after Teresa of Avila, and then Teresa Benedicta of the Cross was named after Teresa of Avila, and she loved Teresa of Lisieux. And then Mother Teresa, she loved Teresa of Lisieux, so she became a Teresa. There you go.
So cool. I had no idea. That's a lot.
One of these days, I'm going to write a book called The Teresa Club.
You should.
Yeah, they're all and they're all saints. And then there's Teresa of the Andes, and they're all Carmelites. Hello, real Walden Game and Clips. Thank you for being here. And the demons are terrified of the Blessed Mother. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
Jewish atheists. Oh, there we go. Became a nun, taken by the Yahtzees, and her sister too. Though her sister never became a Carmelite, but she was like a housekeeper, I think, for the Carmelites. Oh, Steve Kenobi says, I need to run a little D&D game for you and Gravy, Teresa, where you have to play paladins and have lots of religious trials for you too. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Um,
What
oh,
kind
yeah.
of religious trials are we talking about, Steve? You gotta be more
Yeah.
specific.
Yeah. It says here, Aramis became a priest. Only musketeers to
Yeah,
survive.
yes, he was. Yes, he
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Well, I am not sure how much longer you were planning on going, but
Oh, I know. I got to quit because I'm
Yeah.
literally running out of steam. I am falling
Same.
asleep.
I gotta be up in like 3 hours.
Oh gosh, at least thank goodness I don't have to work. I have a first
I
world
do,
problem. I'm going to be on a
unfortunately.
cruise. So
Oh, woe is you. Oh
I know
no.
everyone hates me. Yeah.
No,
Maybe hopefully I'll be able to stream.
I will do a intercessory prayer for Saint Christopher for you.
Yay. Well, thank you very much. Yes. All right. Well, good stuff. And her name is Teresa. Look at all these chicks named Teresa. Absolutely. Okay. Well, I don't know if you want to plug anything before you leave.
Just this wonderful lady right here. You should all
Oh,
you definitely should all check out her stuff. You should all, if you're not already, subscribe, hit the bell, do all of the things because she's amazing. And I had a lot of fun this evening. Like, I really wanted to. I was actually going to go live, but then I saw you were live, and I was like, huh, I will go talk to Miss Martin about this because I know it'll be a good combo.
yay. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's always a great time having you here. Everyone, yes, subscribe to her, Lady Gravemaster, and follow her on Twitter. And of course, you can find me here in Miss Smart Muses. Now, I did put a poll out because it did occur to me that maybe some of the audience that do like the Catholic explaining may like just Catholic explaining, or rather, and vice versa, that people that like my nerdy kind of stuff, the stuff that I do on my other live streams, maybe, this doesn't quite fit their thing. And so there's been talk about maybe I'll have a separate channel called Catholic explaining. So I think that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'll move all of that over there. So, because it is a bit of a different audience and a bit of a different focus. So that is, the poll is still out there, so you still can vote, but it's overwhelmingly, I think a lot of people agree because, my channel has a little bit of an ADD thing going on to begin with, but I'm thinking that, this is a little more niche and that might be, easier for people who want to find that. And maybe, it's not your cup of tea, so easier for people to avoid it if you want that. Oh, wait, I can turn undead with it? What the hell? Oh, okay. Stieg is lying. Tommy sent her a magic artifact last week. Level up. Yeah, actually, it was a relic, a second-class relic he found. Well, since Stieg has outed it, yeah, I guess so. Woo.
I have a so one of my students brought a second-class relic from St. Padre Pio.
Nice.
I was like, dude. And I also have I have a second-class relic of St. Thomas Aquinas.
Oh,
it's
cool.
his it is his what is it? You sent it to me.
Oh. What?
Not St. Thomas Aquinas. I do have a second-class relic of St. Thomas Aquinas.
Oh, St. Francis of Assisi.
St. Francis of Assisi is, yeah. I was like, why can't I think of who the other second-class relic is? Yeah, St. Francis.
Yeah. You're right. I did send that to you.
You sent that to me. Yes, you sent beautiful rosaries. They're in my classroom on display in the buffet place. Yes. So pretty much everything that you sent me, the Saint Therese, they were like, Mrs. Graves, you really like Saint Therese, and I was like, somebody does.
Yeah.
But no, the rosaries are beautiful. The olive wood rosary is breathtaking. That stone rosary from Ireland with the Celtic
yes, the Connemara marble and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Celtic cross.
I was like, oh gosh, these are gorgeous. And they were like, where'd you get all this? And I said, someone much older, much wiser, and much more generous than I have any right to accept. But
oh well, see, I'm sure it's okay. I mean, I don't think it's a problem, but but in any case, yeah. But I do like the way, no, that is fake news. You cannot turn me undead with it. I cannot turn undead with it. That's fake news. And yes, Padre Pio is like the Chuck Norris of modern priests. Absolutely. Good times, everyone. All right. Well, we are going to end this party. Thank you, everyone who has been here. It's been a great crowd. It's been a great day. As we say, it's been a smoking great day. And I stole that from Steve. And so, in any case, we have the Sentinel. We have Steve Kenobi. We have Real Walden Gaming Clips. Tommy's been here. Tommy Getting Pig Collected. Buddy Hepburn. We had Norporeal Life Form. We had Salty Traveling Sea. Thank you for the super sticker. Dega Outlaw. If I miss anyone, it is not intentional. Sometimes things jump. DJ Play Nice. Anyone else? Sean Sue. So thank you for being here. And Habemus Papam, we have ourselves an Augustinian and a Leo and a lion. So we got 2 giants. And God bless you. And we'll just pay attention to the church. And Steve, you have another I told you so. So have a great day, everyone. Have a great day. And be certain to pray for our new Holy Father.
Amen.